Alright, today I am making a mobile target backer. I shoot from underneath my carport here. I have a permanent long-range target at 72 yards, made of cinder block with a rubber mat facing. And up here on top of the hill, I'm temporarily using some hay bales for a backstop, but I need something more permanent. But I got my leftover piece of 1/2-inch rubber mat. Started out with a 3x4 mat, and I used part of it up on the hill for that target. But basically I got a tire here, and I'm going to fill it with rubber mulch and cut this mat to fit, and use this plywood as a backer to hold the mulch in. I'm going to paint it. But so I got me some threaded all-thread rod to sandwich the plywood at the 4 corners, or at 4 locations. I'm going to thread it through with some fender washers, and I got some black mulch to fill up, and hopefully I can fill it up tight enough, full enough, because of the way the tire's constructed. It's sort of hard to get mulch in there. I might have to cut in a little access hole in the sidewall, but getting ready to put it together. I'll paint the plywood to make it a little bit more weather resistant. I wish I had some sort of other way. If I had another piece of rubber, I could put it on the back and make it totally weatherproof. And of course it will be standing on its edge. And the problem is I got a hill, which is good for being a good backer for shooting into, because it limits the travel of the pellet. But means that when I put the tire up there, it won't sit level. So I'm either going to make a little cradle to hold it in, or I was thinking putting a couple eyelets in the back of the plywood here and here, and driving a piece of rebar, a couple pieces of rebar to anchor it to the ground. And then I can just move them around when I'm sighting my gun in different distances. So I'm looking for something that's mobile and weatherproof. Alright, I've been working on my tire target backer, and you can see the piece of plywood in the bottom there. I drilled the holes through, and it was a little difficult to get the holes aligned from one side of the tire to the other, so they're not perfectly, located on the tire itself. I had a couple pieces of rubber left over, so I believe I'm just going to put them in the bottom of the tire there and screw them down, and then I'll fill the tire up and with the rubber mulch. And then there's the mounting plate, which I drilled the holes. Basically I laid it on top of the bolts and pounded it with the hammer to leave an indent. Figured that was the best way to line up the holes, and then I drilled through with a long bit for the indent. So I'm going to fix the rubber here in the back, and then I'll start filling it up with the rubber mulch. Okay, actually I went back to get my other piece of rubber to lay on top, and had these triangular pieces cutting off the edges, and actually they fit in there around, so that gives a little more extra level of backer. So that should work out fine. Okay, the mulch I got, this Vigoro mulch, is much more shredded than the other type, which runs like almost $7 a bag, and this runs $3 a bag, and it's pretty packed in here once it's in there. So even though it's less chunky, I hope it knits itself together and will pack tight, so we'll catch the pellet good. Okay, I put part of the mulch in there, and I packed it down and put some more in it and pack up underneath. See how well I can fill it up. Okay, on my tire target project, I decided I wanted to make a cradle for the tire to sit in. So basically I did some lap joints with the 2x4 base and the 2x6 side to support the tire when it's upright, and we'll see how it works out holding the tires. Okay, I'm filming from bright sun to shade, so hopefully it shows up, but tire sits in the cradle like that, and when I measure it to be somewhat tight, like 1/8 of an inch, but ends up I got like about 3/4 of an inch gap, so I'll probably slide a piece of 3/4 board in there to tighten it up. I mean, it's, you know, shouldn't fall over. Okay, I got my cradle set up. I really didn't, this was the sort of issue I was dealing with. Like I say, everywhere I got is sloped ground. So it's either dig out a level pad for the cradle or prop it up like I did here. I left a little bit of extra space for the tire maybe to sink down, so I had some, I actually had only used 2 bags of mulch or 4 cubic feet with this little piece left over, so I'm putting it in the bottom sort of to prop up the tire. So I'm going to get the tire and roll it in and see how she looks. Okay, here is the setup. Didn't want to get a tire too big. This is the normal size of paper I shoot at. It's 12 by 18. So it take 12 by 18, take 2 standard size sheets, 8 by 12s. But it's got the 1/2 inch rubber. It's got the rubber mulch inside. It's got some additional 1/2 inch rubber scraps, and then the plywood. I'm not worried too much if it did go through the target eventually, because I got such a good hillside backstop, and here I got some brush piles and wood. So safety factor is covered as far as I'm concerned. So we'll see how it holds up. Say it's sitting in the cradle. The only thing was getting it level for the site, but the tire rolls fairly good, so I can roll it to different spots if I want. Just have to set up the cradle again.